My job specifically is to oversee, as the job says, director, overseeing most of the activities that we do within the festival. And that includes looking at liaising with the venues that we're going to screen the films, and also working with members of staff and volunteers who are working with us.
As a festival producer, a typical day for me would involve arranging a program, making sure that everything kind of meets to that program.
Sending emails, talking to people, because there's a lot of relationship building within the job, where I have to liaise with venues, we have to liaise with distributors, you have to liaise with obviously members of staff as well.
If the situation was different other than the COVID situation that we're in at the moment, it may also involve visiting venues, meeting with people face to face in order to plan the program and curate it.
My day probably gets more exciting during the festival itself, where we have visiting guests, we have Q&A and panel discussions, and then we have to organize workshops and fun activities that really people are looking for and wanting to engage with the festival. Yeah, I didn't have a huge understanding of all the different elements of the festival. And over time, you kind of realize, yeah, there's certain skills which are massively needed, especially when it comes to you're organizing an event. So planning, organizing is very much central to that. So timekeeping is part of it as well.
Being savvy with Excel sheets, because with the planning and the various login details and all the information that you have to store, you have to be savvy with where they are and how you access them and remember them for when you need them.
And I think within working with the festival as well, it's really important that you are multi-skilled, you're able to multitask, because festivals, especially like ours, is a very small festival. It's not Cannes International Film Festival where you have tons of volunteers and members of staff. So one person might have to do 2 or 3 jobs. And with that, basically needs you to be adaptable, flexible, and be able to, to learn very quickly on the job. Saw an opportunity to merge these two huge passions that I have, which is basically films and international development, which is looking at supporting communities in sub-Saharan Africa.
I was definitely motivated to see that such a thing is happening in Wales, pertaining to Africa, which is largely my interest, and therefore I just took it and ran with it.
I decided to set up the film festival because it creates a platform to engage, not just amongst filmmakers and creatives, but also the general public altogether, and educate them about the continent. And you get to see the different side of the continent. So rather than seeing the one-sided story, which is most of the time you see on TV, which is like Africa, it's full of hunger, poverty, and things like that, there's a lot of positive things as well, which are not highlighted. So I wanted to have that counteracting side to this narrative and create a balanced understanding of the continent.
I had met Fadhili, who is the festival director, at an event. And from that event, I got involved with Watch Africa in the judging, first of all, and then in the graphic side of things, the website element, and other aspects. And today, here I am producing for the film festival.
For me in particular, my mom has been massively influential. As a single mother, raising me and my 2 brothers, and taking the risk to really look at how areas that I'm passionate about. And I can look at this from the angle that my mom, she's a lawyer by background, and wanting me to pursue a certain career pathway. And probably at one particular time, she thought, no, Fadhili, you need to change, you know, you have to take a serious route?
Well, I must say my inspiration largely is Africa. I absolutely love Africa. There's, you know, so much more to be learnt about Africa within the context of herself, as well as within the context of the world. So that is one of my key inspirations.
She allowed me, she gave me a space, she gave me an opportunity for me to dream and think of what I want to do, what I'm passionate about. I'm a sort of person who likes football, for example, and I knew, for example, at one point I can't be a professional footballer because I was not good enough. But one thing for sure I knew I was good at is really being creative, trying to make things happen. And that applies to my current work, that applies to the film festival as well, because through her giving me, I guess, the opportunity to be creative and trying new things, I've been able to start the film festival and to get it running up to the point that we are at this moment in time.
University was the academic route that initially allowed me to exercise my passion in the field.
My pathway has been very short. You know, within a year, I sort of kind of moved from knowing very little about film festival to starting a film festival. For me, I started off by working for a friend of mine who was running a film festival in Bristol, a very small one. And through that, basically, I spent a week mostly working on marketing and publicity. Yeah, you know, within a week, you don't get to learn a lot about the film festival, but it's that feeling, that understanding, I guess, or that feel of being part of the team that's delivering the festival. And maybe you pick up one or two things through that. I think I spent about 4 months volunteering for Film Africa. And again, it was enough for me to know how the festival works, how the festival scene works. But this was more of a front-facing side of the film festival. We still don't know how the programming, the curation, how the team jointly work together to bring the festival to where it is. I played a small part within the core, the bigger festival, or the main part of the festival. But it was enough to really learn a lot. And I guess moving to Wales and starting Watch Africa, I was able to feel other bits that I didn't learn when I was in London, in a very, I guess, learn as you go along, in the very trial and error sort of approach. So there is no, I guess the message I'm trying to say, there's no a clear one way, one route that you have to follow in order to get to the position I'm in.
So the heritage and culture of Wales has played a big part in my journey, because Wales comprehends the importance of cultural exchanges and promotes it.
My first 6 months of being in Cardiff, I struggled. I struggled massively because it's a small place, very little to do culturally at that time anyway. I was looking for things that are specifically African within the cultural sector. So it could be like a dance group, it could be like storytelling sessions, it could be film, for example, all these things, drama, and there was hardly anything, nothing at all. The lack of, I guess, of these activities really pushed me to say, I need to make it happen. If we ain't there, I'll make it happen and make it there, and I'll give it to the general public and see if there's a lot of interest from other people who are, you know, who are interested in arts and culture, and especially interested in African issues. So it played a massive part in that.
Wales has been growing in facilitating the exchanges that Watch Africa Cymru provides. Mentors are a wonderful resource. In university, Florence Ayisi is a filmmaker also in Wales, as well as a lecturer. And she was very inspirational in my journey because also she was interested in many aspects of film that I was interested in.
And my mentors, I guess, they're not formal mentors in a sense of, you know, we agreed to have that relationship. I'm the mentee and the person is the mentor. They're very informal. I have people who sort of come or I go to them for advice and support on various things to do with personal issues all the way to professional issues. And they add a lot to my life. And the beauty of it is I have these different pots of things or issues or areas that I'm passionate about or I'm doing, and they're able to advise me on those different areas as well. So if, for example, it's something to do with my professional working life, I know someone who is very good at that and would be very much open to give me constructive criticism on how I'm doing, how I'm performing.
I also have other great mentors who I'm working with, who help me in the film capacity of things. So I learn quite a lot from them, just by interacting with them, just by having a coffee, just by catching up, sometimes having specific meetings to talk about specific areas of interest or things that I may wish to explore or know more about.
So in terms of mentoring, it doesn't have to be a very formal mentoring process. You don't need to establish, that thing of you're my mentor now, I'm the mentee, and I'm expecting to receive something from you. No, it can't. It doesn't have to be that way. It could be people who you're close to, and those are the people you go to for advice and support. They probably know you better than the person who's supposed to be a mentor for you. So I guess when we look at mentoring, just look at people who are adding value to your life, people who won't be shy to tell you how it is, as some people say, to give you constructive criticism when things are not going so well. And currently, like I said, I don't have one mentor. I have many mentors, and I think I'll continue to have many mentors because we all have different understanding of things. We all have a different understanding of different aspect of life. And I think it's important to have those different voices telling you or advising you on where to go next.
Pursue my interest. Initially, especially when it came to going to university and studying film, documentary film specifically, I initially thought that Wales would be too far from where I lived at the time. And my brother-in-law just told me, just pursue your interest. It's not too far. Of course you can pursue it. And it's advice that I definitely do not regret. In fact, I'm exceedingly happy that I received that advice.
Not being shy or not being scared of failure. And being scared of failure, as someone who has moved to, say, a new country from Tanzania, and settled here and finding all kind of challenges, I guess you find as a migrant moving to a new environment, or anyone moving to a new environment. There's always a fear that things are not going to work out. There's a fear that maybe I don't fit in this particular space, or there's these barriers that probably are in front of you and will hinder you from getting somewhere. So in many ways, I think you having that strong conviction, a strong understanding of who you are, and a self-confidence, and making sure that you have that, and understanding that failure is part of the process, I guess, of learning, of understanding who you are.
Pursue your interest. I would advise that you should express your interest also. If you find a company that is doing something that you may be interested in getting involved in, or somebody that is already doing it, don't just send your CV. Perhaps meet with them for a coffee. Perhaps tell them what you like about them, and speak to someone, have some interaction, and either express how you feel you could be of value to them, how you feel you could want to get involved, or ask them how you could get involved. But I would definitely advise that you make that step in going forward and pursuing it.
Learn about the environment that you are going into, or you want to do, or you want to work in, and give it a bit of time. Volunteering processes, for example, taking a placement or volunteering, or even starting in itself is a process in order to get somewhere. So it's important that you have patience in you. You take your time to understand things, and through hard work, I guess, through having patience, but through hard work, then you'll be able to get to where you want to get to. But the key thing is take your time, be patient, and good things will come.